Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, or whatever the case may be. My name is Marcus, and I am the host of the Black Brazil Today YouTube channel, as well as the blackbraziltoday.com blog, where I analyze Brazil from the perspective of race. So today I'm going to get into some comments that I came across by a popular actress in Brazil. With no further ado, I want to just get straight into it because I found that her comments were, I see a lot of people making these same comments. I think it speaks to how the Black Brazilian community is seeing itself these days. The things after they achieve a certain amount of success and they start to look around and say, well, where are the other people? Where are more people who look like me? They're coming to understand that them just being in a certain area by themselves, it doesn't really, yeah, of course, it does something for you individually. You're able to do something with your life. You're getting some goals accomplished. But what about everybody else who looks like you? What does that say about the overall community? So let me get directly into what this actress was talking about. Today's piece is called I No Longer Want to Be the Only Black Woman in the Cast, says Brazilian actress Clara Moneke. Okay. This is Clara Moneke. And I didn't really know much about this young actress, so I had to do a little bit of research. I noticed she had appeared in a recent popular novella, but besides that, I didn't know much about her. I did a little poking around online to see what I could find out about her. Some pretty intriguing things here. So, actress Clara Onyeshuku, Mariano Moneki, was born in Sao Paulo on September 16th, 1998. Clara is the daughter of a Brazilian mother and a Nigerian father. So, in this sense, Clara has something in common with the popular Brazilian twin hip hop duo Tasha and Tracy Okereke, who were also born in Sao Paulo to a Nigerian father and a Brazilian mother. I'm not sure if this duo has ever been to Nigeria, but Clara has never been to her father's homeland, and her first trip got postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic at the time. The actress reveals that Nigerian culture is strongly present in her daily life. Clara says, African culture has every influence from the way I am, the way that I think, to the way I dress, my style, she revealed. Even though she's influenced by many things from Nigeria, there are some cultural aspects that she doesn't identify with either, such as polygamy. The actress, who has been dating for 2 years, declared that she is super monogamous and jealous. She even goes to therapy to deal with her jealousy and doesn't think she could be in an open or polygamous relationship. Not going to open that can of worms in this particular video, but it's something that I found intriguing. Again, with the increase of African immigrants coming into Brazil, you find that a lot of if some of the African immigrants are not, pairing up with people from their own country, maybe they come to Brazil with their own partner, their own spouse. Maybe they end up getting with a Brazilian woman. I've known a couple of Africans, Haitians who have had long-term relationships with Brazilian women. So anyway, Moniki is still relatively new in the world of acting, and most people remember her for her portrayal of the character Kachi, or Kate, on the popular global network novella Vai na Fé, which means, go on in faith, which aired in 2023. The actress got her break when she met popular rapper Marcelo Deo, the guy in this picture right here. The rapper is among a number of Brazilian artists nominated for the 2023 Latin Grammy Award, scheduled to take place in Spain next month. I covered that in a video probably about a month ago, maybe. Shortly after having met her, the rapper invited Moniki to an audition to appear in the cast of the Amazon Prime series called Amar é para os Fortes, meaning love is for the strong ones, right? The other thing I want to point out here is that, in the last, I'd say about 5 years or so, I've noticed that Black Brazilians are getting increasing opportunities through, different platforms. We know that for years they complained about the lack of opportunity they had in Brazil's top television networks, Global, that I just spoke about, mentioned the novella that she worked on, Rede Record, or, the record network, you would say in English, SBT or SBT is another top network, as well as TV Bungie, Those are like the top four free television networks in Brazil. And ever since I've been covering Brazil, it's always been a question of why is it that Black Brazilians are limited to such stereotypical roles if they're represented at all? They're often the only Black person in the cast. So this is actually, considering where things have gone now with the increase of opportunity for Black Brazilians in the film industry and the television industry. Things are changing a little bit, but I found what she said intriguing. So let's keep going here. Although I've known about the actress for a little while, what made me want to just discuss her was a comment she made during an interview on the popular talk show Conversa com Bial with host Pedro Bial. The program has been airing on Brazil's top television network, Rede Globo, since 2017. Her comments bring to the fore a lesson that I think not only Black Brazilians need to take to heart, but Black Americans and other persons of African descent throughout the world. For decades, we've known that there are certain African Americans who have an attitude of being proud that they are the only Black person in a given neighborhood, at a certain job, or at a social gathering, whatever it might be. They seem to cherish this exclusivity as a badge of honor. We have all seen this sort of attitude. Check out this post that I found on LinkedIn, for example. Or is this article? It's not an article, but it was a comment that somebody made. Somebody named Shireen, she says, I cringe when I speak to a Black person who says they are proud to be the only Black person in the room or in a room. I've always asked, what are you doing to not be the only Black person in this space, and tend to hear crickets? All right. She says, I'm not saying all Black or brown people are like this. I'm saying those who are in such spaces by themselves need to keep fighting, because the goal was never for you alone to be in such a space and not help others to get there. Okay. Sentiment that I share. So this sort of thinking has always been problematic for me. When people of other groups make it, they want to make sure that others like them are able to make it as well. I think this is a major problem for our community, and this point of view will always hinder where we can go as a group. How can we ever prosper as a group when it seems that so many people want to be Big Willie, happy to be the only Black person anywhere? Okay. With this in mind, I wanted to go over the lyrics of a classic 1991 song by the rapper, actor, producer, director Ice Cube. A lot of things he pointed out in this song is a classic song from his 1991 album called Death Certificate. So let's check this out. Let's see. What did he say here? It's the ninja you love to hate with a new song. So what's really going on? Nothing but a come up, but ain't that a B? They hate to see a young ninja rich, but I refuse to switch, even though because I can't move to the snow. Because soon as y'all get some dough, you want to put a white B on your elbow. Moving out your neighborhood, but I walk through the ghetto and the flavor is good. Little kids jumping on me, but you want to be white and corny. Living way out. Ninja go home. Spray painted on your house. A lot that Ice Cube put into that, and just I always find it intriguing when I can apply something that happens in Brazil to the United States, or something happens in the United States that happens in Brazil. This situation of being the only or the first Black to do something or to live somewhere or to have a certain job title, is something that a lot of Brazilians can obviously identify with, because this is something that goes on in Brazil all the time. It's only been in recent years that, with the opening of affirmative action policies, that more and more Black Brazilians are getting access to jobs that they only dreamed of, getting diplomas in areas they only dreamed of, being able to buy houses in middle class neighborhoods. This is something that Black Brazilians can definitely identify with. Now, something else that he pointed out is something that I often talk about when it comes to Black Brazilians, this idea of, as soon as you get some dough, you want to go out and put a white girl on your elbow. It's something, this discussion of Pytaging has been going on for a while. It's a topic that's going to keep coming up in my post here. Whether you look at this article, people are saying that Pytaging, or this predilection of Black Brazilians to choose white partners, they see it as a relationship of self-hate. They say, does love have no color, as a lot of Black Brazilians will say when somebody asks them why they're dating someone white. And people believe it. Like, hey, Pytaging is not just about affection, right? All of these terms, all of these articles that I have here talk about this idea. And oftentimes I would argue that it's not just among well-to-do Black Brazilians. You see this attitude of white being better among just everyday Black Brazilians. So I have yet to get to the bottom of where this is coming from. We know that Black Brazilians were indoctrinated to have a preference for whiteness, at least 100 years ago. The idea of mixing promoting interracial unions, so that eventually the darker skin elements of the country just disappears through what they call the process of whitening, is what they call it. So Ice Cube's lyrics can definitely apply to Brazilians in this sense, because a lot of men, a lot of women have complained about this for years, that why is it that most all middle class prominent black men in Brazil are, booed up with white women? It's an ongoing question. I've tried to make it more balanced, this discussion, by trying to, understand where the men are coming from with that. But that's not the point of this article. I really just wanted to show how that lyric from Ice Cube speaks to, another point of black people living way out, living in a place where only you're the only black person. And some people take pride in that. So, getting back to the article, Clara Moneke's comments seem to affirm that she is aware that there needs to be more people who look like her having access to the same things she has. It is a sentiment that I've noted from a number of Afro-Brazilians in recent years. In various articles on the blog, I've spoken on how Afro-Brazilians remember being the only black person participating in whatever endeavor in which they were involved. These things have only recently begun to change, but this feeling is widespread. So this is something that I've spoken about in a number of previous articles. This article from 2018, Out of Place, on being a black woman in predominantly white spaces, the invisibility and racism in an 80% black Salvador Bahia. Now, I've said it before, Salvador Bahia is considered the center of African culture in Brazil. It's one of those places I would say, if you're into the things that involve the African diaspora, Salvador Bahia is a place you do need to visit before you die. Now, these are a number of articles where people talk about the experiences of being the only black somewhere, the only black. This article from 2021, this girl who recently graduated from the university, she says, my father was one of the only blacks in medical school. And then 32 years later, she was in the same situation. Let me see. This woman in 2018 in a beauty pageant, she says, I want 5 black women in the top spots. Kel Hozan, she was the only black woman of 27 candidates in a recent Goddess of Brazil pageant. This is Rachel Maya. I forget, she has a different position now. But when a study was done some years ago, they found that this woman, Rachel Maya, or Rachel Maya, was the only black woman who headed up a top 500 company in Brazil. She was the only black woman who was a CEO in Brazil. Let's see what else we have. Being the only blacks in our areas can't be normal. Co-founder of the Black Professionals Network, Liziane Lemos, speaks on the importance of private sector facing up to racism. The only black woman in this year's Miss Brazil contest. Miss Federal District asked, who hasn't suffered prejudice in Brazil? Persecuted as the only black woman in a beauty pageant, right? Karine Alves, the only black female host on a cable TV sports station. And this, it goes on and on. This idea of being the only black. It's great that you made it there, but it must be kind of lonely there in a racially, we can't say segregated, but we can say that a lot of areas that black Brazilians go based on their education or whatever and their success, wherever they are, they might be the only black person there. And as people become more racially conscious, this becomes a little bit more, they seem to notice this a little bit more. So this is why I thought it was intriguing, this particular piece, because more than a few black Brazilians are talking about, I don't want to be the only black person doing such and such, okay? So recognizing this, Clara made the following comments on the Conversa com Bial program. It's crazy to say that I'm a black actress and I'm not afraid of the future, Like, it's like this. I have no fears. I have no uncertainties, Like, I believe the first thing you told me when I came here was that the road ahead is one of success. And the only thing I'm afraid of is that I don't want to be alone in this, I no longer want to be the only black woman in the cast. I can no longer be the only black woman in a room where decisions are being made. I don't want to, and I can't allow myself to be silenced and made invisible any longer. And all of this, I'm sure, won't happen. So there are things to happen. The choice will certainly be the best one for me. And as I said, Clara isn't the only one feeling this way. So this is taken from the Mundo Negro, one of Brazil's top black media websites. And this is from a director named Mayara Aguiar. It says Mulher Preta Diretora. So I don't want to be the only one, she says. Black woman and director of the new global TV novella called Cara em Coragem. So this is what Mayara had to say. Mayada is one of the directors of TV Global's next 7 p.m. soap opera Cara y Karajin, which premieres, well, it premiered I think it was last year or earlier this year. The chill in her stomach for the new job and the joy of taking on this new challenge in her career stand out in a conversation with the 34-year-old director who has been working at Global, the Marinho broadcaster, for 8 years. The Marinho, Global is owned by the Marinho family. Everybody knows that in Brazil, the very famous Roberto Marinho, and he passed the Global network on to his 3 kids. So, and Global remains the top television network in Brazil. It's just dominant in its field. Mayada is one of the few Black people to work as a director at the broadcaster and the first Black woman to work in a television drama. She says, nowadays when I'm working, I hear practically every day what a breakthrough my Black body is. Only now in 2022 is there a dark-skinned Black woman who does television drama here. I'm reinforcing other names that are gaining ground, like Naima or Naina Ramos, who is a wonderful documentary maker. But I'm the only one doing soap opera, says Maya, as she is also known, or Mai. Despite this, the presence of Black male directors is already more palpable at the broadcaster, which she celebrates. She continues, I've had the joy and happiness of working with Black men who are brothers in the struggle, like Jefferson G or Jefferson D. I'll come to understand that's how you pronounce his name, one of Brazil's top Black directors, Luis Antonio Pilar and Lázaro Ramos. These men are already saw there, and I consider it a step forward, says the director who doesn't want to stay in the role of the only one for long. It's a huge responsibility and absurd honor, but I don't want to be the only one. I review my social packs every day so that this doesn't happen, so that I'm not alone. I hope we can improve this, she says. Then you have Bruna Dias. She's on the Dias de Cacho IG channel. She recently spoke about this as well. In a video that I saw last month, Dias said the following.
Todas as vezes em que eu entro num restaurante, numa loja, numa reunião ou numa
Every time I
sala de
go
aula
into
em
a
que eu sou a
restaurant where I'm
única
the only
pessoa
Black
negra,
person,
eu
I
morro um
die a
pouquinho
little
por dentro.
inside.
Pessoas
People
acham
think
que o
that
racismo
racism
só
only
destrói a
destroys us
gente
when they
quando
call
chamam
us
a gente de
monkeys or
macaco
say
ou
that our
dizem que o
hair
nosso
is
cabelo é
bad.
ruim. A
The truth
verdade
is
é que o
that
racismo
racism
destrói a
destroys us in
gente de
many
várias
ways and in
formas,
many
em
parts of our
várias
lives.
partes da nossa vida. Se você é uma
If
pessoa
you're a
negra,
Black person,
provavelmente você
you've
já
probably
refletiu
already
sobre
thought
isso.
about
Agora, se
this.
você se diz um
Now,
aliado,
if you
você
call
já olhou para o
yourself an
seu ciclo
ally,
de
have you ever
amigos,
looked
para
at your
sua equipe
circle
de
of friends, your
trabalho,
work
lugares que
team,
você
the places
frequenta
you
e
go and
consome e
eat,
reparou
and
se tem
noticed
pessoas
if
pretas
there
que não
are Black
estejam
people who
apenas te
aren't just
servindo?
there
Ou você
serving you?
nunca parou para pensar sobre
Or
isso?
have you never stopped to think about it? So she had a lot to say here. In that brief paragraph, she speaks on going into places, obviously probably more upper crust areas, maybe upper crust apartments or just chic restaurants where the only Black people sometimes you'll see there would be the people who are taking your order or washing the dishes or something. And she says this is something that kills her a little bit every day. It's not just the blatant racism, it's the lack of opportunities for people who look like her. Or I'll just say that people have not been able to climb that ladder. And even though things have changed, specifically in the last decade, it's not widespread where everything has just changed. You still see Black Brazilians, you know, sparsely represented in, areas that are more associated with, I don't know, consumption power, the buying power. So this is something else that she's speaking on. It's not just the racism. And when she speaks about, it's not just racism when they refer to us as monkeys. Like monkey is the most popular racist term that Brazilians use against Black people. I have a number of articles, whether they are famous people or just everyday people, somewhere in Brazil every day, perhaps hundreds of times a day, somebody's being called a monkey. Then she spoke about how the idea that cabelo crespo, meaning kinky curly hair, is supposed to be bad hair. Yeah, in Brazil, they say the same thing. You got cabelo bom, good hair, cabelo ruim, which means bad hair. According to European standards, I'm quite sure you can figure out which is which. But all of these articles, I've talked about this question of good hair, bad hair for a number of years on the blog. You know, you disgusting Black with bad hair. You have bad hair because you want to. You know, just if you type in the term bad hair in the blog, you come up with just a whole bunch of articles. When Black children learn the idea of bad hair in the least expected place, home. Black Brazilians grew up with this European ideology, just like many of us who grew up in the Western world, where association with European appearance is always considered to be more beautiful. Same discussion they're having in Brazil. It's, as I've said, over the last 15 to 20 years, you saw an incredible change where so many Black women were coming to accept their own, cabelo crespo. This article from 2012, good hair, bad hair. Black Brazilian women and girls also struggle with this hegemonic ideology, right? Black hair, the problem isn't with just curly hair, it's with nappy hair, what they call pichain in Brazil. Fear of the fro, dancer is a target of Brazil's anti-blackness. So these are the things that these people were all bringing out in this particular article. They understand that strength is in numbers, and it's not, maybe it is, you can look at it with a badge of honor to finally get somewhere where you've kind of shown that you've been able to find success in life. But to get to these areas and see that you're the only Black person, it shows that, in Black Brazil, you still got a long ways to go. So with this particular piece, it was just thought provoking, because it's something that, like I said, when you deal with what's going on with African Americans, you see some similar things going on. I think it's less likely in the United States, because I think Black people have entered the middle class, and there's been, because of civil rights and affirmative action for years, going back into the 60s and the 70s. You'll find more Black Americans in certain areas that's traditionally associated with people who are white. But even with African Americans, we have a ways to go. There's still plenty of areas you can go where you'll be like, you're the only Black person, or there are no other Black people there. So I thought this article speaks to the situation throughout the diaspora. It's not just African Americans, it's not just Afro-Brazilians. And the only way that we can improve our lot in society is to have some type of group cohesion. We have to get rid of this idea of the big Willie, oh, I'm the only Black person here, so look at me. Other groups, they play group politics. I don't know why, but it seems like Black Americans and Black Brazilians haven't caught on to that yet. So anyway, going to leave this article here. I'm curious to know what you thought. Leave a comment in the comment section. Like this video, share this video, consider subscribing to this channel if you've seen more than a few videos. Definitely click on the notification bell so that you know when I put up my new videos. And with that said, I'm going to end this here and ask you to come by and check out my next video.